MultimediaJay radio style.
Yeah. Howdy, folks. This is Jay, also known as MultimediaJay. You're listening to MultimediaJay radio style, and I've had another one of those moments where I'm like, you know, I thought I had seen it all, but I was wrong. We're looking at an article on Ars Technica, cheap, functional, upgradable, HP Stream and Pavilion mini desktops reviewed. These inexpensive Windows desktops have a surprising amount to offer. Link to the full article will be in the description, but, you know, I've heard of various computer form factors over the years. I've heard of desktops, I've heard of laptops, I've even heard of Palm Tops, a fancy name for Palm Pirates. Yar! Palm Pilot! No, fancy name for Palm Pilots and, you know, other PDA type things. I've heard of all kinds of form factors for computers. Netbooks, ultrabooks. But since when did casserole dish become a form factor for a computer? Look at these things! Yeah, I posted it this morning on Facebook, got a few likes from some folks that are into more homely type stuff like that. They look like casserole dishes. I'm gonna laugh. Somebody's gotta do a YouTube video of taking one of these that's broken or something and just putting it in a microwave or an oven or something like that. Take one of these things that's like foobarred and gotta be thrown out anyways. Well, it looks like a casserole dish, so let's see how it microwaves or bakes in the oven. The Pavilion Mini and the Stream Mini are the latest in basically a consumer version of what the business world would know as thin clients. Yes, those of you that have seen thin clients before will know what I'm talking about, as a way to try and, you know, manage costs and IT costs and stuff like that, especially when you have computers that are, you know, doing the same things over and over again. There's things called thin clients that are basically just enough computer to be a computers. So you get something like the size of a large hardcover book. It's got an SSD in it. It's got a blippity little processor and has just enough horsepower to run like a terminal or Microsoft Word or something like that, or Windows Embedded. And like I said, just enough computer to be a computers. So this started out as a business thing. You know, IT is very, very centralized in most companies. And so you get these technology manufacturers out there being like, control your costs. Have this blippity little just enough to be a computer thing running instead of a formal PC in like a factory or a warehouse or something, and save on overhead. You don't have to worry about people installing unauthorized software, And of course, there's a consumer version to that too, little blippity blip HTPCs and whatnot. And of course, these casserole dish computers are just the latest version of that. There's also things like the Asus Chrome box, and there's the HP Chrome box, little Chrome blippity blip things that you'd hook up with. It's just, like I said, just enough computer to be a computer. So there's the Asus E-box. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. It's 3 E's and then box. But yeah, one of the ways in which I've been seeing these kinds of devices marketed is like home theater PCs and stuff like that. Just enough punch to decrypt a Blu-ray drive, even if a lot of them don't have Blu-ray drives. So you got to get a USB BD-ROM or something, and then install Blu-ray software on the device itself. But yeah, so these casserole dish computers, I think, really just represent where desktop computing has sunk to in terms of people viewing desktop computers as, well, little gizmos and stuff like that. You know what all of this is? These casserole dish computers. I'm not going to be able to stop calling them that, sorry. But these casserole dish computers are basically a descendant and a sad ripoff of the Mac Mini. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, sure, the Mac Mini was kind of cute when it first came out. But one of the reasons why it caught folks like myself is I almost got one, actually, but I don't really have much use for a Mac right now. But I went looking at Mac Minis when they first came out, and Mac Minis had the big issue that I had with the Mac Mini was basically one of the reasons why it caught my eye was it allowed for some replaceable parts, unlike say the iMac or something. So you could use a standard keyboard, mouse, standard display. There was it wasn't one of those all-in-ones or anything like that. It was basically the closest Apple ever got to a budget desktop with the Mac. Besides formal Macs, Power Macs, the ones that I grew up with back in my middle school days and stuff like that. But the whole Apple has this thing for trying to sell computers like major appliances were sold about 30 years ago, where you have to keep going back to the company for support, and replaceable industry standard parts just aren't a thing and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just technology in the industry moved on decades ago from that model. But I think the numbers really speak for themselves. I mean, PC versus Mac, that says it all. And even within the Macintosh world itself, if the Mac Mini was if the whole Mac Mini, like blippity-blip computer thing like that, was really such a good idea, then why are the other types of Macs still being sold? How come the sales haven't completely eclipsed the Mac Pros, the MacBooks, and of course the iMacs, and the other types of Macs that are out there these days? I don't follow Mac too much anymore. No, I haven't really been a big Mac person since System 7, so that's going way back. But if this is such a good idea, why isn't this type of, appliance computers, if you want to call them that, taking the world by storm? They're not. And quite frankly, for companies to be ripping off this design, even the Intel NUC, but it just doesn't need to exist, really. So the point of these casserole dish computers is what, per se? Cutesy little computer to have in the kitchen or something like that you can stream media to? I mean, yeah, they are I think one of them's might even be a sub $200 machine. However, there were some cheap $150 laptops on sale at local Staples stores last week. So, is it really a bargain to get the equivalent of a desktop computer for under $200? I mean, if you want to talk sub $200 piece of junk computers that function like desktops, how about a refurbished corporate workstation like a Dell Optiplex or something like that? Get something like that was originally built for a corporate environment, so built with reliability in mind and ease of service and things along those lines, and not too many proprietary parts, running Windows 7 Professional, and there you go. About the only thing that really would be the difference in terms of the price range between these two computers would be if you wanted something shaped like a casserole dish or something that small, but it's just one of those things where you really have to wonder, what exactly would you use this for? And then there's the matter of power consumption. Yeah, sure, the device uses a laptop-level 45-watt power brick, so 45 watts of power. However, my netbook, with a battery to keep charged, runs off of 20 watts. So if I want low-power computing, why should I get one of these casserole dishes instead of just getting a 10-inch netbook and then just closing the lid if I want to output to a larger display? What exactly is the point? Can these things be fit with batteries? Can you rig these up? Of course, then again, since it does have an external power supply, well, no. These laptop things usually run 19 volts or something. I was thinking for a second there that I could run this off of a car jump starter or something, but car jump starters usually around the 12 volt outs jacks for cigarette lighter stuff and things like that. So yeah, you couldn't do that with it either. What's the point of these casserole dish computers? I mean, what's the point? If you can get something similar out of a netbook type device in the same price range with roughly the same performance and a battery, so you can just carry it around with you or something like that, use it in the kitchen to cook food or have a recipe on screen, take it to the living room or something along those lines, put it on your home Wi-Fi. What exactly is the point of these casserole dish computers then? I'm just trying to think. They look cute, but really, I mean, unless you're going for cutest kitchen computer ever, right. Aside from that, though, in that price range, if you want something that's basically a desktop at a super cheap price, the refurb market for refurbished corporate workstations might not be as far-fetched as it sounds. Because some of these refurbs being resold by some of these sites like Staples and Newegg, they actually have a decent amount of specs. They'll run like Core 2 Duo or something like that, and they'll have Windows 7 Professional or something, decent operating system within the same price range. Except the thing with these corporate workstations is they're often built for reliability, and sometimes they're too good. Like, I know there are some HP DC5100s that my company got years and years ago in 2006. Some of those machines are still there. The only reason they're not being used anymore is because they don't run Windows 7. So, or they might have gotten thrown out because the hard drive conked out or something, and just fixing a hard drive would put it back in working order. I mean, I remember some IT folks going, "These HPs are lasting too long. The service life cycle of a computer in this company is only supposed to be 5 years." Yeah, well, if it works, why not? I think the biggest problem that we had with those DC5100s was the Pentium 4s that were in them weren't exactly great with power consumption. So they were kind of power suckers of PCs. But I've often wondered about that, and I'm actually thinking in terms of my computing setup too, because, yeah, it's nice that I have a nice gaming system, but I'm wondering if I should consider splitting my computing between a system for playing games and getting all the nice graphics, and then a really low power system for the basics. Because I haven't had too much luck in building systems that really throttle down to really low levels of power consumption when they're not being used for high horsepower stuff. But you never know. I could do some fiddling around with that later on and stuff like that. But I think with these casserole dish computers, if I can stop calling them that, I think what these things serve to show is that this whole thing with appliance computing, it really has a limit somewhere. Like, for example, these all-in-one devices, or these devices don't have much in terms of service options. They're basically low-level, throwaway computers. Like tablets, and what tablets have become. These devices that are basically computing appliances, there has to be a limit to this somewhere. And again, same thing too. What about tablets? I mean, there are tablets in the $100 range. You just poke around on a touchscreen, maybe have do some stuff on that in the kitchen, and then carry it with you to the bedroom or something like that. What exactly do you need these computers for? So, the fact that I've asked this so many times just goes to show that it's not really straightforward. I mean, the desktop has been losing ground in all markets except for high-end gaming and stuff like that, and among enthusiasts like myself who would rather buy upgrades than new systems, because that's the one edge that an industry-standard desktop still has. But some of these corporate workstation refurbs for basic stuff like the optical drive or the hard drive could serve the same purpose. You'd need something serious like a motherboard or a power supply failure in order to have something where it might be an issue to replace some of the parts. But desktops have been losing ground for a reason. And that reason is that if they're not high-end gaming performance devices or something like that, if they're not high-end performance devices or low-cost, easy-to-repair, industry-standard devices, there really isn't much in terms of a niche left for desktops anymore. Mobile just gobbles all of that right up. I mean, what do you have with these casserole dish computers that you wouldn't also have with a laptop or a netbook? Just some stuff to think about. Especially when there are alternatives, including some more industry-standard alternatives, like those corporate workstation refurbs in a similar price range to these devices. But that's the beauty of computing these days. There are so many computers available at so many price points that do so many different things, it really does come down to customization. Maybe there is someone out there who wants computers in their kitchen to look like Tupperware, in which case these are perfect! But for folks that are more practical, that aren't as obsessed with, oh, it looks like a casserole dish, then, yeah, I'm not so sure about these things. It's nice that Intel is working on the NUC as kind of like a new form factor for a home version of the corporate thin clients and just enough computer to be a computers. But at some point, we got to draw the line with some of this stuff. So, what do you think? Leave a comment if you want. Leave me some feedback. It'd definitely be interesting to see what you folks have to think about that stuff. And thanks for listening. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by. You're listening to MultimediaJay Radio Style. Don't touch that dial.